Hey, welcome boys and girls. The fine folks at Sefaspe asked me to do a video review of their little itty bitty stick welder, and I said yes, because that's what we're doing here today. Now this is a great little welder. I'm gonna give it 2 thumbs up right off the bat. You have to understand limitations, okay? So it has this little lane that it needs to stay in. You need to be welding under 1/4 inch steel, and you can go down to about 20 gauge, and that's a pretty doggone thin steel, and I butt welded some together. For those of you who are on the motorized bike train, what does this have to do with motorized bikes? Well, I'm going to say it has something to do with it. If you ride motorized bikes, you're always going to have a little bracket that may need mending. You may need to cut your exhaust and re-weld it in to get a different angle of the dangle, bracket, a little rack or something like that. This is an ideal little welder for motorized bike use, okay? Now, it is a stick welder. Stick welding does require some finesse. It can be as delicate as a sledgehammer. So you have to learn how to just barely utilize it. Otherwise, you're going to blow holes in your metal, okay? So let's take a look at this welder here. Now, like I said, it's rated for under 1/4 inch, like a 0.197 inches for those of you who speak American, and 5 millimeters. And it'll go as thin as 1 millimeter. And I would say that's going to get you down as low as the 20 gauge steel that I was flinging about here a few seconds ago. Okay, so what comes in the box? You get the little box itself, about the size of a small toaster. Okay, let's go ahead and turn it on. You got the control knob here. It goes down as low as 30 amps, and it goes up to 120 amps here. Let's turn it off so we don't hear the fan. And that's all you have on the controls. One thing that doesn't come in the box is instructions. I just gave you all the instructions you need here. You've got the stinger. Comes with a 5-foot long cord, and that goes in on the left-hand side. It's got a picture of a stinger with a rod on it here, and that is for electrode positive welding. You've got the working clamp, or the ground clamp as it's called, and that goes on the right-hand side connector there. Just push it in, give it a twist. There, you got a 3-foot cord there. You get a pack of 2.5 millimeter 6013 rods there. This machine loves 6013. 6011, 7018, not so much. Stick with the 6013. It's a good all-around rod. And you get a little bitty baby chipping hammer with a little scratchy brush. You got to get you one of these if you're going to do some welding, guaranteed. Okay. With that said, let's go ahead. Let's melt some metal and call ourselves welders using this little machine here. All right, let's see if we can get an arc from this machine here. And yep, particularly with these smaller welders here, it takes a bit of finesse to get an arc going. And you got to scratch it like a match. And there you go. I finally got an arc going here. So now I'm feeling cocky. This here is 20 gauge steel. That's some thin steel. I'm using DC electrode negative. You get less penetration that way. And yep, don't look at the fact that I blew a hole at the very end of the coupons that I was welding together. This is a very thin butt joint, so give me some slack. But what I am doing, yeah, 80 amps, that's a lot of amps for this very thin metal here, but there's a technique. You just dab it on. As soon as you get it to spark a little bit, you pull up, you come back while it's still red hot, you dab it again, and you pull up. That is great for those of you who are doing auto body work or building little gas tanks for your motorized bikes and the like with thin gauge steel. You can do it with a little welder like this here, and it did it as I expected. All right, so we're going up to 90 amps, and we're still on DC electrode negative. With electrode negative, you don't get as deep a penetration and a little bit less likely to burn a hole through it, okay? And like I said, I'm just doing just the little dab, dab, dab method. As soon as you start seeing that arc going, you pull off and you get up quick. You don't slowly pull up, because if you do, it's still going to shoot off to the to your base metal there, and you get all sorts of weird artifacts on it here. So just a quick dab, you hit it while it's still red hot. Notice it's still red hot, and hit it again. The tip of the stick is still red hot. That way you can get a quick, easy arc going with it. For those of you, like I said, who are building gas tanks or doing auto body work, this isn't a good little welder here with some technique. You can certainly do that sort of work with this welder here. I am impressed. It was controllable. Once I got my technique down a little bit here, yeah, I know I tried to do a right turn, left turn, go around the corner there, but we got the same, and it's holding together pretty good here. But once you get your technique down with this machine here, the results are consistent. All right, so let's go to DC electrode positive. Now we're burning a 1/8 inch rod. I read on one of the reviews online on this machine here, someone said that they couldn't get a 1/8 inch rod to burn on this little machine here. And this 6013 1/8 inch rod burned fine. I didn't have any issues with it here. I did find I had to adjust it, angle the rod back a little bit. If I try to get the rod straight down into it so much, it didn't like that. I had to pull it back and kind of drag it along the area I wanted to weld it here. So this is 1/8 inch rod on 1/8 inch steel, and it's a lap joint, and I was able to get a little bit more upright on these two welds here that I did. And I got pretty good results there. Now, I'm finding here with this machine here, and as I experimented, I went with electrode negative on some of these welds here. Now there's some bird snot there that I'm not proud of, but then I started going to the DC electrode negative on this here, and I got some prettier welds. So it's technique that's going to get it done here. See, now that's a nice weld there. I'm surprised that my hand did that. With the DC electrode negative, you get a little bit of a thicker bead, so it's a matter of dragging it. Okay, so now what I'm doing, I'm testing out a 1/16 inch rod, and I'm getting some mixed results. The 1/16 inch rod has a very fast deposition rate, and meaning the metal goes from the rod into the puddle real fast. And I was noticing the slag. When you're welding, you're seeing all the stuff accumulate on your base metal, and most of that was the slag. And as you see, once I chip it away here, I wasn't getting enough metal in there. It just looked like bird snot and bird poop everywhere. So I had to adjust my technique and really push that rod in there. Once I got the arc going, it was important that I push the rod in faster. You need to keep your amps up a little bit here. That's why I'm running this at 100 amps. Now watch this weld here. I got a nice pretty weld there. Yep, it's a little bit tricky to get it to start sometimes, particularly with the 1/16 inch rod. I've always had issues with that, even on a much higher end welder here. Now here I am, I'm digging this straight in. I'm finding with this welder here, it's just a matter of technique, learn the tool, and adapt and adjust. And that's a reasonably pretty weld there, just straight in. I'm not joining anything. So here I am, here's where I'm showing my stuff. Even on this 1/16 inch rod here, I'm doing it at 100 amps, DC electrode negative. I found with the positive, I kept getting too much bird snot here. But with the electrode negative, and I'm really pushing the rod into the puddle and feeding it in fast to accommodate for the deposition rate. And this weld here turned out pretty doggone good. Now I didn't chip all the slag off, if you'll notice it. That's why it looks a little rough in there towards the left-hand side of it here. But that's a reasonable weld that I can build on and get it a little bit better here. I still prefer the 3/32 inch rods on this machine here. When I can use it, I'm going to do better off with that. Now here I am struggling with some 7018. I got one weld that was about 1.5 inches that looked just absolutely beautiful, and it died on me, and then I could not get it to start an arc and successfully do it. 6011 was the same, so I gave up on trying those. Okay, as you see, I got some great welds and I got some bird snot. It's all in your technique, and you need to practice with it. You need to select the right rod. This machine here loves 6013. 7018, not so much. 6011, not so much, at least with my technique. Other people on Amazon stated the same thing. It didn't like 7018. Some people said that they couldn't get it to strike an arc with 1/8 of an inch. And you saw in the video, I got some 1/8 inch 6013 rods to burn just fine. You just crank it up a little bit and take your time. So if you're interested in a good bargain little stick welder, check the link down below. The Sefaspe 120 amp 110 volt welder. Hold on. 2 thumbs up. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button.